All right, my friends, here we are at the Dojo Graduates show. We do this twice a week. And yesterday we did the under 1,000 crew. Today we're going to do the 1,000 plus crew. It's a light week, which means we can kind of take our time. There's going to be no huge rush. We'll be able to read these novels that people wrote about their progress here. So let's get into it. We did up to Lost in Ekamai yesterday. Faugra, good afternoon to you too. And we're going to start today with Tikapoj, who has graduated numerous times. Tikapoj has done a lot of work, 97 points worth of work, and says playing weekly games in Lead Chess 45-45 and analyzing them with my coach is getting me some good reps in classical. I need to get that USCF rating up, but I don't get opportunity to play more than once per quarter for a few games. Yep, I understand that. So let's go click on Tikapoj over here. I'm probably saying that name wrong. How come I'm not following Tikapoj here? So, this is exciting. So Tikapoj has done all of their business here. And as you can see, we've got 4 metrics for a player's tactical ability. By the way, we're working hard on endgame tests and positional tests. Down the line, we might even have opening tests, but that's really down the line. And this is so cool because it shows us where Tikapoj is doing well and where on average. And so, for example, I think it's fair to say that the guy's the master of the checkmate, at least compared to his cohort. Also, with an average rating of 1209, places him really close to this over here. Really cool. Probably if he worked on that, he'd get that up no problem. So I'm pumped on these ratings we got. It gives you a real indication. There's a fitness app that I've got, and so there's components there too, so I would be encouraged on that. I'm thinking myself on that app, I'll be like, I'm going to get this one up, I'm going to get this bad boy up. Okay, great. And he can do more tests too. It's an average of the last 3 tests that you've taken, and there are a number of tests for him, Tikapoj, to take. Okay, let's take a look. Clubs. Lead Chess 45, nice activity. Tikapoj, tell us something about yourself. Tell us something. And if I remember right, it seemed like Tikapoj did quite a bit of work, 98 points worth of work, mostly games analysis to get to where he is. Now that's not 98 points. That's that's around 100 hours of work, maybe a little bit more. So, and when you start graduating, it's going to get a little harder. So maybe there's even I wonder, I just had the idea of maybe doing an exponential curve or something. Like imagine if let's say you haven't done any serious chess study before, you've just kind of messed around. Then you join the dojo. My experience is a little bit of studying, that first hit of studying is really going to rocket you up. But at a certain point, it's going to start to slow down, right? So maybe it'll be 200 hours before Tikapoj makes the next one or something like that. It would be good maybe we could graph that out to see. We would need, I think since not enough people log their time, so Tikapoj isn't logging their time, but we could do it by how many points it took. By first, second, or third graduation, kind of like that. Tikapoj also been around since Dojo 1.0. That's super cool to see. Let's see if they've got a game. So, here we go. This was played end of last month. Hopefully I haven't looked at this already. Mark is reviewed. Here we got this beautiful timecraft, both players using their time. Okay, so, and it looks like 45, he's a fan of the 45-45. And you can see here with our beautiful site here, we're able to see on the right the move times of the people, of both players. And then, of course, on the left, we're seeing the graph. Okay, so here we go. Fine. Fine. Now, it's it's obviously highfalutin to play this way, right? I'm sure this is part of his theory. The issue, of course, when we make so many moves that are non-developing moves is that black will have some way to open the position, and probably e5 is what's called for here. Now, we could argue that to a certain extent, black has fallen into a positional trap here. And the trap is that, but honestly, as long as black's aware of it, he's going to be fine. But black must now realize that this bishop is suffering. And white has a very simple plan of hammering black on this square with like a knight and going for a kingside attack. And if that bishop isn't doing anything, woe unto black. Okay, so here we go. Bishop e7. Good. 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 Now black needs to do something for the bishop. Let's see what they come up with. So it looks kind of right, doesn't it? But then, do we have a plan for the bishop? So queen b3, playable. Personally, I feel it's in the spirit of the position to play queen e2. But maybe I'm okay with this move. Maybe. I definitely think taking is wrong. And you talk about knight a5, good. The simplistic bishop d7, of course, also comes to mind. So the issue with queen b3 is when we look at your setup, this is important for you to understand. When we look at your setup, what we really want is to put a fatty on this square and to pursue a kingside attack. And to claim, especially in this position, that this guy's a full chump, right? Now, I get it. With queen e2, it's controversial because you'd be like, well, how am I getting this guy out? And to be fair, it's maybe not so easy. It might become a little tactical, right? Yeah. So I'm not sure I have super clear answers to that question, but I do know that we have a variety of ways to address that before we do anything else. C2 would be a little more controversial because then we'd have to worry about bishop b7, rook c8, and some kind of knight b4 threat. In any case, it's not terrible. Queen b3 takes. One fun move that just crossed my mind is on knight a5, of course we can take, but you mentioned queen c2. And what's interesting about that is you could tell yourself, oh, well, now when bishop d7, rook c8 comes, there's no knight b4. So maybe I'm a genius. maybe I'm a genius. Okay. Passive. Blunder. Right? Blunder. So, black must play bishop d7. And by the way, I think what's really important to see about this kind of thing. By the way, first thing, wait, Kraai. Before you say anything else, let me just observe something. White is not thinking. Look at this. They're just moving. And what do I know? I know from experience that this is like a nervous anxiety that white has got at the beginning of the game especially. And even though you get 45 seconds extra move, look at that, he's beyond 45, so he's not using his time. And the biggest thing that we know, the way we know that Tikkaposh can improve, is if Tikkaposh uses their time. Now, the graph itself doesn't look terrible, but this bit of nervous anxiety definitely costs us. Because look, b5, he's not thinking, boom, oh no. Oh, no. Right. We move a little slower, we have better chances of finding it. Yeah. Okay, the other speech I was going to give before I noticed the time factor is that at this level, one of the more common things you're going to face is somebody who doesn't appreciate that they got to fix their bad pieces, right? And that's definitely going on with this guy and the bishop. So b5 is kind of like a flailing move. It's obviously a tactical mistake. But even if it weren't a tactical mistake, I still don't understand why you would do it, right? And positionally, your move is fine, b4. I don't know if that bishop's got any hope over there. Good move. Okay. And then that's definitely a fail here, knight a5. Why is it a fail? This is important to understand. Now, you consider it a mistake because of what you feel are opportunities that are lost on knight c5. And I think knight c5 is fine. But what I want you to really see about knight a5 is that this knight is terrible. It's completely dominated by these pawns. Okay? So when you play knight a5, he gets to trade off a terrible piece for a piece of yours that's quite venomous, right? Yeah. And now here, it's interesting. I don't know how he should recapture, but in general, I would say that would be your recapture there. Yeah. By the way, I'm certain you don't have to sink it yet. Moves like rook e1 or other things come to mind, you know. Okay, so you go knight a5, and you did think there. Look at that. You did think. That was your first thing. So notice this about yourself. This happens with a lot of players. They get to the game, they have some opening scheme, and then they go pop, 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 not taking their time. And then only here do you start thinking about it. Now I think black should be fine because knight b6 is kind of annoying. Yeah. Knight e5. So knight e5 is frisky because you're allowing knight a4. So a more prudent move, if we find nothing to address knight a4, is to play either rook a1 or b3. Personally, although b3 looks like we're weakening this bad boy here, it is true that we are masters of our domain. As Seinfeld likes to say, we're the master of our domain over here. It's very hard for him to get at it. And this knight is dominated. Okay, so knight e5, knight a4, and I think if you can't play b3, then you're in grief because of bishop d8. Now let's look at your variation. Rook b1, bishop d8, knight d7. Now you talk about bishop a5, but rook e8, rook a4. But we're down the exchange, right? We're down the exchange. Maybe you have chances of surviving, but it's not what we wanted, right? Not what we wanted. Okay, so b3, blundericious. I want you to see that this is happening because you're flustered by the knight a4, which you missed. Okay, you missed it. And now he is positionally crushing you. f3. I'm still flustered and focused on taking away squares from black's knight in order to try to trap it. But here's the thing. Okay, a lot of times people are like, oh, this is a terrible move, but what do you want to do? It's a really hard moment for you here. I'm not sure I have like some move which dramatically is better. I guess rook a1. Let's start off with that move because he's going to take next move anyway, right? Yeah. So, all right, now we're going to see your opponent's skills in converting and yours, your skills in holding on. That seems loose. No, king goes the wrong way. Your king is going to be needed for the fight over there on the king side. So if you're going to move the king, put it to f2. Maybe a little fast here. This guy's getting frisky. Now, a typical thing that I see at this level, see your king has to come back, is that you, and now rook c8, intending rook c3, bishop d4, looks killing, is that you stop annotating the game. And white is definitely, black has definitely given you a little bit of hope here. I'm not sure I get bishop. Oh, okay. Bring the king in. Bring the king in. Oh, no, white resigns. Bring the king in. No, 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 we don't resign. Look, he hasn't fixed his bishop. It's still the story of the game. Have we played terrible moves? Yes. Do we feel bad about ourselves? Yes. But we definitely don't resign in this position. Here, 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 here. I say his best move's here. And are you technically lost? Yes, you are. But we don't resign yet because he hasn't fixed his bishop. You only resign after the guy finally figures out that he's got to fix his bishop. He hasn't figured it out yet. So he doesn't figure it out. No, no help for you, you know? Yeah, standard fail could be king f7, here, here. Bam, baby! We're not resigning this. Okay, so I want to stress, I've done this before, that in my experience as a player, the level of resistance that I face when I play stronger players, when they are worse or losing, is immensely different than the weakies. The weak players are just going to, I was going to say bend over, but I didn't, okay? They're going to give up and go quietly into that dark night. And what we see here is a broken will here when you say now it's a bloodbath. Is it terrible? Yes. Yes, but your opponent plays all kinds of terrible moves here. And so, no, not if you don't, unless you just want to resign now, you know, well, we're not going to resign. We're going to keep going. Okay, so time in the beginning, don't resign. Those are two clean takeaways from what I see in this game. All right, good. Next up, we have Steve Lawson. And he has this icon that I believe I saw up here too. So there's more than one person with this icon. It probably means something that Boomer GM doesn't understand. So, Joseph Kelly, good morning. So here we go. The point of difference between the dojo and other online chess improvement utilities is to focus on analyzing games, both your own and master games. This has created a shift in how I go about thinking during a real OTB game. I started studying LCMBM, spending less than 30 minutes on a game. By the end of the book, I was spending 1 to 2 hours on each game. I found it so rewarding that I have turned my board around so I faced the black pieces and started going through the book again. Now, I think maybe it's a different acronym. There's one we have in the program called Learn Chess the Right Way, but I'm not recognizing this acronym. No. I have a feeling it's Learn Chess the Right Way, but just different MBM instead of Learn Chess TRW. So, all right. Steve Lawson, let's go give a look. 62. Oh, man. By the way, let me just get you guys feel this out. So we have all this stuff going on in the dojo. And for the most part, we don't know, say, what people's ages are. We don't know their gender or anything like that. But one idea that I thought would be pretty cool, especially for us old dudes, is to If you wanted to, you don't have to tell us your age, but we could have like a list of the top old dudes at the dojo, maybe kind of the way they do it conventionally now. There's a 50 plus senior section and there's a 65 plus, right? Anyways, I think that would be kind of cool. Maybe Steve would be into it too. And prior to the dojo, I hadn't played an OTB in 30 years. Really super cool. Auckland, I want to go visit Steve in Auckland, New Zealand, dude. That's what we want going on. All right. Oh, Steve has done me the courtesy of getting a full tactics rating. I like it a lot. Also a little high on the checkmate test. That's looking good. That's looking good. And very total tactics rating very close to this normalized rating, which makes sense. Logical chess move by move. Thank you very much, VT. Thank you very much. That's what we were looking for. It's funny because we have that learn chess the right way, and it has an acronym, but I didn't ever put logical chess as an acronym, so I had a hard time placing it. People love that book, and it's done wonders. People, I would say, especially in that cohort, Tika Poch is in, we did the statistical analysis. I've said this before. Boom, that was the book for that cohort it showed like a 45-point average game for people who read that book. Okay, here we go. Clubs, down under, activity. And we're gonna go for this one. 116 points, no slouching around there, 138 hours. Good. Good macro distribution as well. Love that there's no huge opening thing in there. Everything else looking great. Okay. So, games. And this looks like an OTB, so beautiful. And this was played about 2 weeks ago and analyzed a couple days later. So let's mark this as reviewed. We'll look at the time. The clocks aren't in there. No comments yet. That's okay. It's a little bit hard to put in the times, but it's worth it. So one of the things about putting in the times, first of all, it's just going to slow you down, right? You just mark it. You say, okay, if you started off with, 60 minutes and you count down, you say 54, just write it on the score sheet. It doesn't even have to be every move. Okay, so here we go. Little funky. Fine. Little weird. Weird because Black has already made a pawn move to get their bishop out. And here he's making another extra pawn move. So e6 would be, or g6 would be more normal. Okay. Little funky. Castles, bishop g7, queen c2. Now I just want to say, you're doing great. You're playing against an opening that you haven't seen before, and you're doing fine. I like it a lot. Just developing. Castles, bishop g5. And you write, the bishop was a problem for me. Playing b3, bishop b2 felt slow, I agree. My other options were d2 or f4. I opted to defer my choice by playing bishop g5. Okay. I'm sure bishop g5 is good, and what I like about it is that you are defaulting to development, right? You don't know what to do, and so you're like, well, I'm going to bring a piece out. So that's definitely what we want, right? Now, in this position, what I want you to see is you have a lot of space. And something that you can do with this space is start to shut down some of your opponent's pieces. So for example, the value of the move e4 is to break this bishop. Another move that's kind of similar in intent is to play d5. Also shutting down this bishop, right? I like e4 better, but you get my point. It's possible to undevelop our opponent's pieces. All right, fine, a little weird. And you're hesitant about e4 for reasons I don't quite know. Okay, now Black might be close to achieving something, and you take. In general, we don't want to. I get it that it might be a little hard at this point not to take. But the reason we don't want to take is, see this guy? he's dominated by this pawn. But it's true, it's kind of hard not to move that pawn. Again, this move would shut down the bishop, and another option is again to play e4. And I like that you put this in, d5, e4, as being complicated. I agree. I still like your position here, though. Okay, so de5, knight takes. Nah, so we got to say this is a blunder, knight e5. This is a blunder, knight e5, and you found it. Very nice. Very nice, Stefan. Very nice. One big advantage of playing OTB is that you can see when your opponent is surprised by a move. See, I bet he was. Yeah, absolutely. It's not just a pawn. It's also like black's king position is really toasted after this. Good move. Well, it was obvious, but still, it was a good move. All right, now we're going to try to put him away. I'm okay with this move. A little weird. Okay. I would have preferred bishop c3 first, but I like that you get that. And now, by the way, let me share. Black here should definitely try to trade queens. Now, the good news for you is on queen f5, we can play e4. But I just want to stress that in this position, your biggest advantage isn't just the pawn, but it's the fact that it's the pawn in front of the king. So the black king is loose. Snip. Check. Queen f6, right? Queen f6 is what they should do. Queen f3. That looks like a cheap threat to me. So the problem we have now, and I think queen c3 is also kind of a cheap threat, is how do we build the position? The good news, too, also we don't want to allow any kind of counterplay either. I guess I'm going to call that obvious. To me, the natural way would be to start with e4, support that bad boy with f3. And we have more pawns in front of our king, and it's a big deal. Right? So the problem with queen f3 is he can whack you with rook f8. He goes here. He can still whack you with rook f8. Okay, here it comes. More whackings. And you go passive here with rook f1. Maybe f4. Check to the miserable king. Now, you're still doing great, but he's got a little bit of juice on you now. Rook f3 looks fancy. I'm not sure it does anything. Good move. Good move. I like it. One of the things is that might not be the computer's top move, but it significantly clarifies your position. Now you own the e-file. And again, I want to stress, even though we have a position where it might feel like an endgame or something, your ability to attack the black king is still monstrous because you have more pawns in front of your king. So think about it. Black could potentially even get a passed queenside pawn, but a much bigger deal should be that we have long-term potential to attack the black king. Now, what I'm hoping I see here is you not trading off either your queen or your rook. Not sure I understand that move. Good move. Oh, funky. And then now you do this. Uh-oh. Okay. Now maybe, actually maybe, now that he's committed this crime of c5, the queen trade might be more interesting for us. I still don't want to do it. And I'm pretty sure queen e7 is the end of the world as we know it, because he can't play rook f7. But let's look at your endgame. He blunders now with queen c8. And we should say that either king g7 or this. So let me just stress, this should be winning the pawn endgame, right? I think we do want to force the pawn endgame. But I just want to stress that it's a little hot. because he is going to get this d5 move. See what I'm saying? So imagine h3, king e6, g4, d5, takes, excuse me. Now I'm a little worried about that bad boy. So this would be the subject of some deep analysis, right? I think in this position, actually, he needs to take on g4 immediately, because now we can whack him with that. So on g4, the analysis would go pop, pop, pop. I think we need to take that thing. And now deep think. Right? Deep think. We'll say the obvious. Black wants to create a passed pawn. You want to do the same. You're obviously up a pawn, but he has a more active king. One fun variation would be king g2, king e4, f5 takes, g5, king e5, check to the miserable king. And now we should be winning because he has to babysit this pawn from going forward. So probably not king e4, but our friend c4. Then we come with our friend king f3. Then we come with our friend b5. Then we come with our friend king e3. Then we come with our friend b4. And I think we can all see this is complicated. This is complicated. It's not super easy. Maybe it is Kraai. Maybe it is easy. Maybe we just go whack, just like in the old other variation. We go whack. And we say, buddy, I'm going to connect these bad boys. In fact, maybe, see, sometimes I learn something. So in this position, what should we do? We should do it immediately. Ooh, wait, we got to be real careful. Pop, pop, pop. Maybe we're the ones getting hosed here. Yeah, we don't want that. We don't want that. So we have to be exactamundo. King g2. We realize that king e4 doesn't work. So then, pop. Can we do it now? Oh, gosh. Pop, 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 pop. Pop, 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 pop. Should be winning, right? Oh my gosh. So if that's the case, then, because then what we know is, I think we know. Oh, do we know? c4. Oh, it's a lot. It's a lot. Maybe king f1 was incorrectamundo, actually. Let's go back. So d5 takes, king f1, because we're not afraid of this because of this. So then b5, pop, c4, and now either king e3 or f5. Oh no, Bubba. Oh God, and he's gonna queen with check. Oh no. Look at that nasty move. Bang! Oh, got me. So I'm telling you guys, this is hard. Okay, so basic question. See if I go f5, gf, g5, then he goes f4. I'm telling you, this is hard. Okay, what am I saying? This is how you learn rook endgames. I realized I went over the top. I didn't even understand. I didn't even know if I got to the conclusion. But I'm just trying to share that this is our opportunity in an analysis like this to try to get a feel for what we're doing. And also the difficulties of this queen e4 move. Whereas queen e7, I think it's going to be hard not to get mated here. Very hard. Because anytime he moves the rook, we're taking this pawn. Okay, the game ended. Pop, pop. Thank you very much. Goodbye. What chapter is this in Silman's book? That's right. Okay. So, let's go back. Congratulations to Steve Lawson. Next up, we have Kraai. Kraai plays a lot of rapid. You can see it on the jiggly line here. Got up to 12:01. Looks like they had a high over here of 15:18. then crash down a little bit, come back up. We want you to do them tests. We want you to do them tests. Got a USCF. And definitely what we've seen is that the normalized rating for ChessCom is for ChessDojoers often much higher than the USCF, and a lot of it has to do just with the lag effect, I think, because people aren't be able to play as many OTB games. All right, here we go. Clubs, no clubs. Activity. Let's go down one. That's a lot of work, my friend. So, Kroony, you're going to put this work in. Tell us who you are. Tell us who you are. This looks great, by the way. This looks great. At 1,200, you are now allowed to study some openings. So happy you didn't do any here or here. And now don't go overboard, but you are now allowed to study some openings. This looks great. All right, probably, maybe with the games we'll see that Kroony has gone deep in the theory. We don't know. In any case, this is all looking great. I like that there's a lot of games and analysis. This was clearly a hard graduation to hit. You can see it, right? 250 hours. There's no chump change over here. All right, here we go. Games. Let's click this one. All right. So, mark reviewed. The times are not available, even though it's a ChessCom game. That sometimes is an import problem / trick. Okay. You're doing fine. Bishop d3 feels more active to me, but okay. So let me just say this is a little spicy for dude to play d6 here because he's allowing queen a4. Now I think he's not lost immediately because we can't play d5 yet. But still, it was bad form on his part because there's no rush to play d6. Right? Okay, castles. Now he gets rid of it. Probably had a little heart attack thinking about it. Castles, bishop a3. Now, in principle, this is a fine move, but a grief with bishop a3 here that's maybe not super easy to understand is that black can just play c5 and it's really going to hit this wall. And you can see, think about it a little bit, you're like, oh yeah, that bishop has no future. So this is a very, we've transposed, if you imagine, I think with the bishop here, which isn't that much different, we've transposed to some famous games here. And standard plans, to my thinking, would be a4 or knight d2 followed by queen c2 and e4. Let's talk about the imbalances for a second. You have an unopposed dark square bishop that can become a monster. And you have some better center control. But at the same time, black's position is solid, and you have potential weak squares over here. Bishop a3 looks like a mistake. I'm sure that's fine, as long as he understands to play c5 eventually. Okay. Black is playing well. Black is playing well. Knight d2. Now, one of the things that's interesting about a position like this, I've had positions like this as black quite a bit, is that when you go back a couple moves, you could say to yourself, oh, so, not too much is happening. But then you go here and you're like, oh no, this is now very tactical. So here, I like the move. And here I'll share a nice trick that's known in these positions. Now, so we want to bring our queen out. And then on this move, g3, we have this little stunner. Bang! With the point that here, and this is mate. And I'm not even sure. There's still more questions to be answered there. But yeah, that's looking good for black if we get that. And then, of course, we're controlling this guy. Is it hot? Oh, it's very hot. But the point is we want to bring the queen out before we get we bring the other pieces in, either the rook or the knight. And then maybe the most critical position would be f3, knight g5. Notice it's a problem that this guy's over here. He kind of needs to be back holding the line over here. Okay, so looks like knight df6 mistake. Good move. I would, if I was black, maybe I would think about getting frisky with knight g5. Queen e8. And you immediately, I think this is correct, it's a little tactical, but you immediately now break. So one of the things I want you to see about this is your opponent didn't appreciate that he could shut your bishop down. And now, if that bishop gets out, well, then we're kind of in business. The bummer is, if he's careful, we might still end up with weak squares, even if we've unburdened ourselves a little bit. And now rook d8 looks like a blunder. To my mind, rook f7 is the right move. Because here what black is saying is you're just like, okay, someday you're going to take, and regardless of how I recapture, I'm going to open an interesting file for myself, and this square and this pawn will be weak. Okay, so rook d8 looks like a blunder. And you play queen c2. I'm confused, though. Can't we do that? I did not have to play queen c2 yet. Yeah, you just went in the business here. Well, let's get into it a little bit further. Let's get into it. We're not over yet, Kraai. So, if pawn takes, we have legitimate fears of this. So then we take this bad boy. And it's a hot position, not going to lie. But we have to analyze, this might be bad for us, and this might be bad. Okay. Well, in that case, though, he's doing good. Queen g6, that looks like a chump move. Why isn't he defending against the rook f? Just rook f7, buddy. Why do you have to make it so hard? Okay, so tactical blunder. And now you got a lot going on for you. You just got a lot. Absolutely. Evaluating the position, I think white may have a small advantage. You're crushing here. This is actually hitting a rock, and one cool thing about you winning all these pawns is it gave your bishop these squares to operate through. FD7. Okay, good. Good, like we said, that's where we wanted it. Chump attack. Now, F4, did we have to do it? This may have been wrong as it opens the long diagonal. It does win a tempo while blocking the queen's attack on E3. So I totally agree that rook fe1. Now, why is rook fe1 scary? It's scary because you're worried, oh, the knight's going to somehow move and then he's going to take. But if he can't do it, he can't do it. That simple. Whereas f4, I still like your position, but we have given him hope. Okay, I'm in favor of this. I think I'm in favor of this message. This is a very bad move. I only thought about knight e3. Clearly, knight b4 creates a dangerous attack. So yeah, we can see you're in a little bit of grief. Are you still winning this position? Yes. Yes, you are. So blunder. Now we have to ask ourselves, how bad is it? The fact is, your bishops are still pretty amazing dudes. Now, I don't understand why we didn't take with a pawn. Let's see what you said here. CB4, bishop f3, rook d2. I did not see rook d2 during my analysis due to poor visualization. Luckily, I saw after bishop f3. Okay, I don't quite know what that means, but what I want to say here is it's not clear that you're worse in this position, even as scary as it looks. Wait, Kraai, I might have to do a take back there. I might have to do it there. I might have to do a take back. Because dude's got this move. Oh, no. That's what we call in the chess biz a bummer. That's what we call a bummer right there, my friends. Pap, pap. And the bishop is covering this. I think we're hosed. Painful. Ouch. Ay, chihuahua. Which means it's going to be the case here too. This is a blunder. With bishop e4, yeah. Now, did you say the right move, though? Rook takes d3. There you go. Bam! The engine would have done it directly like this. Now, it's good to differentiate what you saw and what the engine saw. So maybe say after the game, I saw this or something. I didn't see rook d3 right away, but boom, it hit me. Bishop e4. Bam! Thank you very much. And now you say that this is probably best. It's clearly it's a very bad business now. It's just a very bad business. Not simple chess. Well, you'd think he would check again. All right, I think we should stop. Kraai, what happened? Wait. Queen f4. Well, we got to play g3, first of all. Key problems. One, I am very slow. I am missing key moves in critical tactical position where there's no clear attack for me, so I can't capitalize on the gains I often made in the late opening, early, middle game. Okay. So, my takeaways would be, I like that you played good and natural moves. And I want you to see, one of the things I want you to see is the story of the bishop on, so the story here, first of all, think about stories. The success of your position is going to depend on whether this beast gets activated. And you put it in a spot where it could get dominated, and your opponent didn't dominate it. And what I want you to take away from that is that that kind of positional miss is going to be one of the big factors going forward. And it'll be it'll be harder. This one I feel is easy for both sides to spot, easy for, say, a 1600 player. But you can imagine a gradient of people respecting their pieces or not respecting their pieces. In this game, the guy was completely oblivious. It was really amazing. Like, this is your asset, the dark square bishop, because he doesn't have one. And then in the game, he even lets you win the pawns. Holy moly. Right? Yeah. Okay, next time, I think it's probably a technical task, but it would be cool to see some game times here as well. Okay, that was great. That was also, I want to say, a very good annotation. All right, Bastos is next. And Bastos says, many indicators seem to indicate that I could graduate, and since I'm moving toward the end of some assignments, I feel like it's a good time to do it. I feel like my tactics, endgame, and openings got a bit better, but I still have to figure out the middle game. I believe playing more classical games and reviewing masters games from my openings will help. Okay, let's check out Bastos. Bastos is allowed to study a little bit of openings, and he's got what we call the FIDE boost. He's got the FIDE boost. So his FIDE rating got boosted along with everybody else below 2,000 over here. So that's probably confusing to Bastos, you know. That's to a lot of people. Well, where am I? The rapid is more around 1285. And this lead chess, oh my God, the lead chess is way up at 1820. Okay, and he's using the FIDE as his preferred. Tactics suggests he's around 1321. Maybe he's not dialed in these totally, but These are pretty good measures, all of them here. Okay, so, well, I think actually maybe he's using his tactics rating. That could be his preferred metric. Not allowed to do that. Okay, clubs. All right, got some French. I've got a bunch. Nice activity. We're going to go down one. And this was a hard graduation. Bastos spent some legitimate time doing this over here. Let's see the non-dojo time for a second. Okay, good. This is a little bit too advanced. The 100 endgames you must know. Let's see what he's doing over here for endgame. Good. That was great too. He's sparring these things. Algorithm, perfect. Okay. So now let's take a look at some games. So this looks like an OTB played in April. Hopefully we haven't looked at this already. Mark this reviewed. Times aren't given. Any comments? No. And we are dealing with a 60 plus 30. Last game. All right. So here we go. This is against Candela. Fine. Knight b3. Okay, this is fine. It's an old variation. It's obviously a little bit of a concession. And bishop e3, I definitely don't think it's equal. I think that's a very prominent position in this opening. So knight f6. And now f3 doesn't make sense because in this position, I think we want to play bishop e2, castles, and carry on with a plan of eventually making black worry about knight d5. f3 would be more associated with a plan of trying to mate the guy, but I think we've already lost too much time in the opening to actually get it done. So castles. Now he's going to try to mate him. Here we go. d6. Queen d2. Bishop d7. Bishop e6 is also... Bishop e6 makes a lot of sense here. So I'm going to guess, by the way, that black is playing a little dogmatically here. Oftentimes in the dragon, we'll put the bishop on d7 if the bishop on e6 were not solid in some way. Maybe there's a knight here. Maybe we're worried about f4, f5, etc. But now we should definitely be playing for bishop e6, rook c8. You go for it. Now, by the way, one of the things you have to understand is we look at this position. Your best piece is your bishop on e3. Now you're going to trade it off. Okay? Now, not always a bad thing, but it means you must mate. You must mate black now. Okay, here we go. Rook c8. Pop, pop, castles. a5. I'm not a huge fan of a5. A more standard move for black would be knight e5 here. All right, a5, h4, knight e5. I think knight e5 is a poor move. Now, h4 should be met with h5. Excuse me, that's too far. h5, blocking him. Okay, so h5, edit with engine. I actually already saw this one in another game analysis, but I had trouble to figure out how it's good for me if knight h5. At first glance, it just gives a pawn. Let me try to explain it in a human way. So I know, for example, that dude needed to play h5. And the point is this. We have an attack on opposite wings here, right? And whoever gets the initiative first is going to win the game. It's not going to be about who has, making it a pawn to the other side or whatever. No, someone's going to get mated. And if you get to play h5, even if, for example, even we just assume it's black's move here, we still want to do this because the rook is now in the game. And for example, the computer's telling you fancy things about g4, knight f3, queen g2, and that's interesting and cool and everything. It's probably true, but I'm trying to get you to see that even if it were black's move, we would still want this position. We would still want to play h5. Okay, so here we go. Bishop e2, he should play h5. Okay. By the way, a curious thing has gone down with your knight. Now your knight is in a position where it might play a role in the attack. Now knight h5 doesn't look correct. Good move. And now you go full cowabunga here. You went full cowabunga. Holy moly. Now, at the very least, we're going to give you props for courage here. Because you could have just moved the rook. Could have just moved the rook. But you went for it. Oh, this is fun. Rook h8. Okay. And now you played a pretty slow, definitely a slow move with a3. There are some famous positions that look like this. And the cool thing that black should really consider is tossing this bad boy so that the rook doesn't get activated. See, for example, snip and we hide. And again, as long as we don't get mated, we're happy because we'll eventually get some juice going on the king side, right? So this looks like a mistake. By the way, you have full compensation for the exchange after this. I'm not saying you should do it, but it's just a kind of a cool position to think about, right? Because now we're saying, oh, that rook at h8 is never getting out. All right, so a3 doesn't look correct because you have knight d5. Thank you very much. Now you hit him with h6. Here I had trouble to find the correct plan. I had in mind to try to infiltrate the dark squares with my queen after pushing h5, but wasn't sure it was enough. Well, let's just spend a moment here. Because he's committed such crimes that we should expect that we'll find something here. Okay, so I'm just going to think out loud. This knight f5 move is interesting. h6 is a very positional move. It would be cool to know how long you were able to think here. Also interesting to just try to think through what we think black is threatening. So like, I don't know what he's doing. Because of that, this move is also kind of interesting. I'm not sure I like it, but it's interesting, where if e6, we then have knight f6. And where we'll be intending some kind of f4 thing. Just an idea. Queen g5 does not look right because of f6. Yeah, and then the other fancy move is f4. Let's say they take. They can also go to c4. And then f5, and we might be yelling out welcome to the dojo at that point. You know, it certainly looks a little bit like welcome to the dojo. We can consider playing bishop g4 first as well. f5, maybe we have to calculate this move. Kind of fun, huh? It's kind of fun. I don't think taking on e4 is going to solve their problems. Rook g1, knight e4, queen f4. I think we're the master of the dojo here. It is hard to imagine him surviving this bad boy. Very hard. This looks winning. Okay. That's just an example of what to look for. I think that's going to be the key move, though, f4. These positions are hard, by the way, and one thing you should tell yourself is it's going to require a lot of thinking, but then also let's call it conceptual thinking at this point. But he deserves to be lost for all of the time that he's given us. One interesting thought, too, is on f4. We don't even have to necessarily take it. Taking it, I think, is a pretty good move, but we could also play queen b4. The natural move is to say snip, snap, and then bam, continue. And that f-pawn is it's definitely a thing. It's definitely a thing. Yeah. And those knights are not going anywhere. Here he should again tried this weird g5 thing. Okay. Kraai, you're talking too much. Fun. I'm not sure I get it, but I also don't know what he should do. Let's play f4. Oh, f4. Mm-hmm. Good. No, he's just poking around. No, you still do it. Thank you very much. Oh, no. But also, hold on. Let's talk about this for a second. Regardless of the fact that it's a monster blunder, what are we doing with queen b4? Right? I don't get it. Definitely the first move we should consider. Oh, by the way, anytime anybody marks something as a blunder, tell us what you think you should do. The first move that comes to mind is f5. I mean, that's a hell of a drug, right? That's let's talk about that. Let's talk about that bad boy, right? Come on. Okay. I just did this video. I think it'll finally get posted. It's taken a while. But it was about the 3 things to manage to get to 1250 ChessCom, which is 1,000 Chess Dojo. And one of the things that I feel like I've realized from doing this graduate show, both the under 1,000 and the over 1,000, is that such a key skill is not actually tactical, fancy tactic stuff. I think the tactic stuff helps us not blunder. It gives us extra board perception. But the patterns and all the fancy stuff is less important than just seeing what controls what. So in this case, both players aren't seeing that the b4 square is controlled. On most moves, even the under 1,000s are going to see what's under attack. But you have to do it for a whole game. You have to hold the line of square control every single move. And especially in the under 1,000, that's where the games are decided. Someone hangs something. But obviously, once you cross 1,000, it's not like you're going to be immune to blundering like this. And even, very strong players, if you watch me play Blitz, you'll see me hang things all the time. So it's not like it completely goes away. But here is just an example. I just want to bring that up as an example. And it does happen to everybody, but this is obviously where the game could have just completely turned around. You did it. Very good. And no one knows what knight a5 is about. Goes back. Queen d2. This is where I'm very upset. My plan was clear. I want to infiltrate the dark squares. I want to trade this knight if I can. I have an amazing opportunity to do, and I don't. Clearly, the time crisis doesn't help. Tell us what the time situation was. But this was the whole point of my ideas until now. So why? Chess is hard. I still love your position. I mean, I'm in, I don't want to say enthralled. That sounds, you're French and everything, but I don't want to sound too romantic and French. But yes, you got an amazing position. All right, let's look at your variation. Check to the miserable. Good move. Oh, it is beautiful. We got to say, it's just a beautiful thing. Okay, I still believe very much in your position here. And now you talk about 96. Good. It's hard for me to imagine that dude is going to survive at all. You say small advantage, but this looks just so devastating. What is he going to do? What's this homeboy gonna do? Like king g8, g7. Let's have him take our knight. And then we go queen f4. That's it. No, he's got rook c8. Maybe it's not so simple. Maybe it is. No, that's not. This would be a good one to analyze, by the way, because he's got g8 and he's got e8, and maybe that's what the computer says. I have no idea, but I wouldn't know just immediately looking at this thing. This is very complicated. I think after king g8, g7 is the right move, but then we need to figure it out. And I'm assuming that's the correct Mundo path. Wow, maybe a brutalistic king b1 here. I don't know. Maybe ed5. This one's hard. It's a fun position. ed5. The reason I'm doing this is to prevent bishop e6. And then the fascinating question is, can dude move? We want to play king b1 and then bishop h5, just taking our time with it. We're saying you can never move, buddy. You're not moving. You ain't gonna move it and groove it. Queen e8, bishop h5, exclam. I don't know, even then it's not clear. He's got knight g6. Okay, you can see. It's really fun, actually. Watch this one. Oh! 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 Oh man, chess is an amazing game. All right, fg6. Now I want to stress something we want to say about this fg6, okay? Let's say you don't see knight e6. There is still no reason to take on g6, right? Let's hold that over him. Let's hold it over him. Yeah, so this just helps him. Gives him a couple more squares. Denies you of playing f6. It allows him to do something like that. All right, black's getting a little fancy. The standard Sicilian dragon here move, by the way, is rook takes c3. These moves are clearly here in big time pressure or something. And I resigned here with 2 seconds on the clock. It was my second tournament of the season. Okay, that was great. So, courage points for sacking the exchange. I don't know if it was the right thing, but courage points. And you could even come to define what you, the kind of chess you kind of want to play, especially as white, right? You might want to be playing this kind of stuff, and analyzing this kind of game will help you get there, right? Your opponent didn't get it either. Your opponent actually let you put that big fat pawn over there. Sicilian dragon players have to learn, no, you can't let it happen. Can't let it happen. All right. All right, so that was great. Let's go on to the next one. Next up, we got a couple more here. We have Norzius. Norzius had an easy graduation. Let's see what's going on. 18 from Kazakhstan. Nice. My sense, by the way, is obviously Uzbekistan is blowing up as a chess country, but I think Kazakhstan's probably got some things going on as well. So, 1452, beautiful. Oh, dude's doing the tests. Got a very strong rating. Oh, very nice. Very nice. So we expect Norzius here to graduate again soon based on this tactics performance. Probably can work on his Bulgar mates. Beautiful. All right, clubs, nothing. Activity. Norzius has already graduated once. This is how they did it, 23 hours. Lots of opening. He is allowed to study some openings. All right, here we go. And here's Norzius. Boom. Let's mark it as reviewed. We'll take a look. Reasonable time usage by both players. What are we dealing with? 45 plus 30. Okay. So there's our beautiful time graph. Let's get into it. Fine. Okay. There's a lot of different moves here. I'm not an expert, but I don't like too much what you've done here with DC4. But okay, let's just presume he knows what he's doing. Okay, Kraai? Okay. So this is some fancy sauce. Some fancy sauce. Bishop E3 is a pretty natural move considering what's going on, right? Yeah, it's got to be the most natural move in the position. It feels like you're doing some fancy opening stuff here, by the way, right? That's what it feels like you're doing. So, you say E6 equality. I'd definitely rather be white in that position. Because see, what happened is now you're playing this isolated queen pawn, and you gave him that tempo. So we're in a classical situation where well, the omens favor white. It's not terrible, but, you know, and I'm assuming this is maybe some opening thing that you got going on. But I'm just saying, I definitely don't think it's equal. All right, here we go. Blunder, yep. By the way, you did this, I'm going to suggest, because you really were like, how do I punish this move that I've never seen before? And right, you thought about it. A lot of times when we make mistakes, we like we're trying to like push it, right? Like how did this guy blow it? And here you're blowing it because you spend 5 minutes, and then obviously anytime you move the bishop outside the pawn chain, you know you're going for it, and then you miss this one. Now you're in big trouble. I assume you're lost. Queen C8, and he found bishop A6. Very nice move. And I think you're toast. Everybody's fallen into this bishop A6 thing. It's very upsetting. Yep. Okay. So you talk about knight B4. And I guess that's what you should have done. Worst case scenario for this guy, though, is he can take, and why would it be equal? Right? He could play king D2 when he's up a pawn. Isn't he? He's up a pawn, right? Okay, E5. Now we're lost all our coconuts. Well, you at least, you had an idea here. You had an idea. I'll take it back. And you talk about DE 95, queen B5. Okay. So pop. He's cashing in here, right? He's cashing in, and he's saying, oh, I want my pawn. But yeah, I'm going to give you props, especially with E5 as a fighting move, because now you have, at the very least, you have compensation for the drama here. All right, so knight F3 takes here, okay? Here. Okay. Bishop A7. I think bishop A7 is clever. And I guess what I would want to say about bishop A7 is then white has a very simple plan of pushing the A pawn. And it's going to be a real beast to deal with, especially because knights are so terrible dealing with the passed A pawn. So rook B1. And now you say it's equal. Oh, maybe. Definitely, they should. I don't know. They should try bishop a7. We should analyze it. Yeah, and now you blundered it with rook a3. Now, so this is an example of, I don't know what we want to say, a higher. I was about to call it a higher level blunder, but a slightly, yeah, higher level blunder than what we saw in the last game. And let's just look by move 20. You still have plenty of time. That is a bummer. Now you're lost here, but you definitely have some chances. I agree with you. G6 is better. Like I said before, better players will give better resistance. Reasonable. F3. Weird. No one knows. Good. Might as well try. He's gone passive. Okay, maybe he's going to give us a shot. I would have wanted to see G5 here. Why does he? Okay, what's going on? Yeah, knight f4 is interesting. So one of the things I want you to see is by playing a6, you are giving your opponent access to the 7th rank, and you're doing it because you're like believing in your pawn. Whereas if you play knight f4, the drama for him will be if you win one of those pawns, one of the white pawns, it will be it's very difficult for white to prove anything. Whereas here, this looks really dangerous. Boom, boom, boom. And he goes, we should maybe analyze king h3 too, huh? Maybe then just the simple king h7. Now it's complicated because now he can talk to your knight. Now that looks bad, doesn't it? So king h3 looks significantly, at least easier. Maybe king f4 is winning, but king h3 looks like the crispy critters we've been looking for, right? Okay, so king f4. White, probably, well, I spent a minute on this thing. Maybe he missed that. Good move. Maybe you have a chance now. Maybe. A6. I think f4 looks reasonable. Yeah. King g8. Okay. You're getting frisky. Well, you are definitely toast. And now we just need to see if your opponent has the skills. Well, yeah, so he blew it. Now, in this, he did have, everybody has 30 seconds. Everybody has 30 seconds. So that was definitely unnecessary. Yeah, totally winning. And he just needs to slow it down a little bit here. Okay, so good fighting chess after we blundered the exchange. I thought the opening was weird. And I think this is definitely a learning moment. And this I can see, this happens to GMs too. Like you studied some weird opening thing and then, maybe bishop h4 is what the computer wanted or the opening theory. But you look at it now and you're like, of course, bishop e3, that's the most natural move you could ever imagine. But at the time, you were like, how do I punish this dude? And you probably also realize that on e6, your position isn't that special, right? And you're like, I should be punishing this fool, right? So, okay. Norzius, you're doing great, man. You're doing great. And I love this, that you got such a high tactics rating. Norzius is saying that I missed a win at the end, too. It wouldn't surprise me. White was losing his mind. I Am Hector. He's up. We got a couple more left. And I Am Hector wrote me a novel. And since we don't have that many graduates today, we're just going to take a moment and read this novel here. Woohoo! Managed to graduate to the next cohort. Very happy with my recent progress and consistency playing classical games. What I found most helpful to move to the next cohort was playing in the 45-45 league. This has provided me the chance and commitment to play a weekly serious classical game, a nice community where people are likely to prepare against you and are often happy to do postmortems. Something that stuck with me was an analysis the dojo did at some point where the conclusion was that, quote, what was most conducive to an increase in rating was actually playing rated games. Duh, but I could really relate to it, so I joined this league. Choosing a set of openings and sticking to them. Good. The easiest way, by the way, a lot of people think I'm against openings. You hit 1,500, you are allowed to study some openings. Choosing a set of openings and sticking to them. I totally agree. Don't be jumping around. Learn how to play those early middle game positions. The easiest way for me to resist the temptation to switch openings was to tell myself, these are the openings for at least this season of the league, right? Then, realizing that after 10 or so games, I've barely played the same opening twice and decided to continue with them for the next season. All right. Whenever I play blitz, I play a mixture of everything under the sun, and that keeps me in a healthy relationship with my openings. Having a selected set of books stops me from buying other, maybe less helpful books. The Polgar mates motivate me to do offline puzzles without distractions. What I need to improve and other things I haven't made the most out of in the dojo yet. Sparrings and studying master games. In general, it's hard for me to find the time to play these and maybe give them a higher priority. Analyzing model games in my openings. I found that Feingold played the classical Sicilian, so I should analyze his games. Need to find one for the Leningrad Dutch and at least one for my white repertoire. Unfortunately, I haven't yet found a nearby club where I can play a weekly long game or a team I can join a league with. This is definitely the next step, getting an OTB rating. Things that could be added to the dojo. For finding sparring games with other people in the dojo, it would be great if you could set a schedule of free hours for yourself and get automatically paired for games or sparrings with people that are also free at the same time and that maybe haven't completed the same tasks as you. Right. Now, let me just say, I do think we can make it easier, but just for everybody watching, I want to just turn us on to the fact if we go to calendar, and I go over here, and I can see what's going on at any given point. So this is Luke. He was bookable. He's probably in Europe because it says 4 to 8. This is another bookable group. Got the graduate show. This guy's bookable. Jared Hall is bookable. So what you're saying is happening. People are saying, I'm available at this time to do whatever. And then if we click on him, he's, for example, Jared Hall is saying, not in your cohort, I get it, but is saying what he is available to do. Let's click on, oh, that's also Jared Hall, I think. Jared Hall is available. Cole Thompson, actually, this dude's in your cohort or around your cohort, right? Yeah. Let's do some sparring, baby. Oh, man. Life can be so nice. Yeah, he's available. This is pretty cool, isn't it? So, and honestly, let's just say there's an ecosystem happening here, right? And the more people we get that are putting this up there, the easier it's going to be and the more user-friendly it will be. The more people that join the dojo, the more user-friendly this interface will be. So let's go back. Oh, I got to change this. But that was very good feedback. And now let's go check out I Am Hector. So, flying up there, we want him to do the tactics test and the checkmate test. Otherwise, that looks pretty consistent with his rating. And we go clubs. Nice. Okay, aus Deutschland. And then we got activity. We got 15, 16. That was some work. That was some good work. Games analysis, tactics. Boom. Look at that. Polgar mates in 2, crushing it. Oh, I'm pumped for I Am Hector here. This is looking good. Tell us how old you are, where you're from, that kind of thing. All right. So, games. And let's go. I'm just thinking if there's an OTB one, but I'm guessing this is our best bet. And we'll mark it as review. We'll look at this. Looks good. I like it. I like it always when the dojo player spends more time than our opponent. Okay, playing up too. Okay, here we go. This is the classical Sicilian he was talking about. All right, bishop c4, queen b6, knight f3. A little weird. Right. Good. Okay. Can't be bad. And you're talking about h6 as a fancy move? Nah, I don't know. I don't know. I'm going to be in favor of bishop b7. Okay. It's natural for what's going on here. Yeah. Queen e2. Good. Weird. Wow, going for it. This seems too much. My king is not castled there where the attack comes and commits white to castle queenside or stay in the center. Now, something I would want to stress about this kind of position is that the joy of, let's call this the Scheveningen structure, which it is that your pawns are dominating white's pieces. And there's a simple dynamic that's going on in the kings in the Sicilian. If white doesn't get something with their development advantage they get in the beginning of the game, because you're making all these pawn moves, then you are going to be better. And so if we look at this knight, for example, it's getting crushed by your pawns. If we look at this bishop, it's getting crushed by your pawns. And this knight, I don't know what it's doing. So this is actually a very difficult position for white to play. And, you know, I believe in black here for sure. Like, you think this is better for him. I don't know why. I'll play b5, you know. Play bishop b7. We're doing great. It's very hard for white to do anything. All right, rook g1, b5. I think you could calmly castle. No need to freak out. Knight d2, fine. Okay, so you scared him off with the b4. I'm very happy you analyzed this, because this would, to my mind, be like at least the only thing to worry about. Pop, pop, and then honestly both this move and cb2, you're just crushing it, right? Okay, good. So knight d2, good. And now he goes for it. Okay. Rook c8. Can't be poor. Yeah. Okay. It's looking good. f4. And I would say we can say here that you have an advantageous version of the Keres attack. He's playing the Keres attack, right? He lost 1,000 tempi though. All right. So it's going to get hot, and you played knight c5. He played f5. You gave that an exclam, and now you took. Now this move is the first move I think I don't like. Maybe it's okay, but I don't like it. Just tell you my first instinct here is knight e5. With that knight, we should not get mated, and the tactical point is he doesn't yet have the ability to whack me here because my queen will touch the king. Is it hot? Yes, it's very hot, but I do believe in your position. Now, let's see what you did. Pop, pop, and now knight b4. Yeah, we definitely don't want to play e5 if we don't have to. All right, so now you analyze rook c1. Let's just actually here we could this great thing with the dojo. You can click and it shows us what our moves are. Let's go look at this castle's move. Knight a2. Exclamation. Oh, that is a good move. That is a good move. Very nice. Okay. Now let me just say this knight b4 thing. It looks superficial to me. It does have some great ideas, like I love this castle's long thing. And, but on the other hand, you know, is this knight really doing it? So you analyzed rook c1. Let's see what you say. White's kingside attack will have to be carried out without the rook as it is tied down to the pawn, but there's enough firepower on the king's side to be dangerous for black. Okay. No, I like that analysis. Let me just look at it for a second myself. What a mess, huh? Whew, there's some heat going on here. There's some real heat. Yep. Ah, Sicilian, man. It's a hell of a drug. All right. All right, here we go. So rook c1 was better. Bishop e4, exclamation. Now, the other thing about it, I think, is, isn't this also winning? Right? Isn't he crispy critters after that one too? So, all right, bishop e4. Yeah. All right. I hadn't seen the full picture when I played it as this exchanges a rook and 2 pawns for 2 pieces. Initially, I thought I would win the full rook because I was calculating on king c1 after knight c2. Okay. So I think if you'd seen that, maybe ef would be the move, right? Because it's complicated for sure. And you write, black has a rook and 2 pawns for the pieces, which seems like a great outcome of the position happening before. Okay. To me, it's still a little hot. I'm not exactly sure what's going on. Yeah, it's still a little hot. Still a little hot. Do you have more moves after this? You talk about queen c2. The heat is happening here. E d2. It's a thought. And then you just talk about rook c6. Whew. F6, we play queen e4 threatening rook c2. Oh man, what a nasty thing is going on here. I think there's a bummer here though. Isn't there this a bummer? Ah no! Sicilian. Oh man, what a drug. Okay, so let's go back a second. So bishop e4. Let me just say, ef, he's just crispy, right? It's gone, because now there's ef and bishop f3, right? Okay, so bishop e4, knight e4, knight c2, king f2, knight takes, rook takes, and it's a very hot position. If you were already castled here, then you would be winning immediately, I think, with ef. But if, for example, here, then we have to deal with both knight g3 and knight c3. And if he wins this pawn, you know, it's kind of a thing. I would assume knight g3. Whew, man, Sicilian, my friend. Actually, I'll tell you a funny German story. So I was playing the Sicilian way back in the 90s in Germany when I played the Bundesliga. And we had to advance through the second Bundesliga. And I remember this was a story from the second Bundesliga. And I was playing a FIDE master, I think. He was like 2,300. And, you know, we were talking and talking. You know, the thing with the Sicilian, you can get busted in so many different ways. And if you're playing a strong attacking player, they find stuff, dude. They find crazy things. And you're just like, what? How did that happen? And at some point, he was just like, Sicilian is scheisse. That stuck with me. Very shortly after that, I started playing the French. I was like, oh. But anyways, you know, play Sicilian, you gotta get intimate with these crazy tactics going on here. Intimate. Okay, I am Hector. You're doing great. This is beautiful. I'm happy for you here. That's great. All right, so William Kazan says, I started playing on ChessCon because it takes too long to find matches on Lichess Classic. So for now, I'll be playing rapid games on ChessCon. For sure, the biggest factor in my improvement over the past few days has been taking the proposed training seriously. Additionally, I've stopped using the Rui and Caro. Now I'm playing the Bishop's opening with white and the Najdorf with black. It's amazing how many points the positions I've reached with these openings have given me. Besides that, I'm playing the Queen's Indian against the London and the Nimzo against other d4 openings. I have completed Class C of the endgames from Silman's complete endgame course, and this book has definitely saved me in at least 10% of my games. The number of players who failed to win against me because they don't know endgames like the wrong colored bishop was significant, as well-executed defenses like the Philidor. Fantastic. Okay, you can see William here is advancing up the ranks, no problemo. All right, let's open. Brazil, nice. Continuing to advance. Now, I don't know, William. I don't know. 1511 is not 1600. Let's see what else he's got going on. No. William, you're not there yet, Mouse. It wasn't time. It wasn't time, William. Yeah. Yep. Okay. So, William, Baus. I don't know, buddy. I don't think you graduated. Let's go back a second. Yeah, dude. No, I don't think it was time. I don't think it was time. Yeah. Not there, bud. Not there. It's okay. You'll get there. You'll get there. All right. Finally, then we have Luke. And Luke is up to 1656. Looking good. Beautiful jump. Very recent. And then we want him to do these tactics tests and stuff. And USCF 1473. Probably hasn't played in a while. Clubs, European. He's got a USCF rating though. What other ratings he got then? Custom. Oh, that's probably some like, it could be Dutch or Holland. We don't know. All right, these are the games. Oh, this is the famous Colt Thompson. If you recall, Colt Thompson. Oh, this is actually kind of weird. Because I don't know which one he is. Maybe he's not either one of these. But anyways, we saw Colt Thompson in that calendar where Colt was offering to analyze, spar with people. So I'm going to guess this player has to be Samatahi. And maybe, I don't know what, let's just see what happens here. Okay, so. And we're going to say Ocean is our man. We're going to mark this as reviewed. Okay, it would be cool if we had times, but we don't. I think when you import it, you're maybe importing it without the times somehow. Okay, you are doing fine so far. And here you talk about knight e4, knight bd7 can't be wrong. Rook b1. And here a5 is definitely a move. You're still very much in the game, Will, after knight e4. Okay. b4. Knight knight df6. It's getting hot. So, very spicy position, and this is definitely one you can get good at. In general, I'm a little prejudiced against the minority attack in positions like this. From White's perspective, I would have wanted him to play f3. Okay, so good. And what I want you to see now is it's very difficult for White to play f3 because of the weakness on the e3 square. So I'm going to say this has to be okay. You could have considered a6 too. Queen c2. Not sure I get it. Bishop d7. And bishop f5 is the logical place. The reason to reject it is you're worried at some point that f3 is going to hit you. Right? But it would be more logical. Knight e4 doesn't look right. White gets a superior pawn structure because the d4 pawns ends up being more important. I don't know about any of that. Okay, so timeout. The thing to appreciate about this very spicy position is that you have the potential to attack on the king side here. And it's kind of your job at this point to creatively go after him on the queen side. So, you played bishop e6, and I'm not a huge fan. You have several moves here that seem interesting to me. One is the kind of paradoxical b5, but the point here would be to play a5 and activate our rook. That looks interesting to me. Then we want to investigate knight g4, but then after h3, we don't understand what we're doing. We're going to think about h5, h4, and we can consider queen d6 as well, intending some kind of knight g4 stuff. But if nothing else, we're doing fine with that b5 plan. All right, so trading is generally not what we want if we're going to try to wreck him on the king side. That's a frisky move to me because what is going to happen if you take? Right, and what if a big fat rook appears here? I don't know. Be great to see the times here to know what's happening. Okay, I still think you're doing okay. We would call this now a Grunfeld structure, by the way, or close to a Grunfeld structure, because you got this queenside majority thing going on. It's, okay, yeah, interesting game. Queen a3, a little frisky. Queen b1, passive. Queen d6, doesn't feel like you're doing much. Could you have made better progress? I don't know what queen d6 does. It's almost like if you were on d6, wouldn't you consider playing queen a3, right? The position's probably equal. If you think about it from the perspective of, oh, I want to trade, I want to move my pawns, then we definitely consider this move, b5. He cannot take because his rook is hanging. If he lets us, we'll play b4, and that's definitely what we want, right? So if he goes snippos, snappos, and crappos, we say here, and we say interesting position, I'm going to have this a-pawn. Hi, ChessDojo. Okay, so that's my little take. You're doing fine in this position. So, rook c2, reasonable move. He wants to win the c-file. And now you give it to him. Now he's considerably better. Queen e6, queen a4 looks like a mistake. And now you played rook c8, which, honestly, rook c8, you know, if you can do it, you can do it. You should do it. Is there a problem? What's the problem? No, you're going to live through this. You're going to live through this. No, rook e7, you don't, I mean, he's definitely, by the way, what's the problem with queen a4? He's letting you play rook c8. Is he, does he have a monster position here? Yeah, he's doing great. He's doing amazing. So his first candidate move should be h3. Okay. Now, the problem with that move is it encourages you to think about getting a draw by perpetual check with like a thing here. Right? Okay. You played queen a, or you played pawn a6. All right. So here we go. a6, d5. I'm just taking a moment here. A simple move to make here would be queen b7. Okay, and the intention is clear. We want to make this a little difficult, and we want to think about this bad boy over here. Did you have other moves than that? I'm sure you did, but I'm just not sure about this because the pass pawn is like the big dog. He's the big dog in the queen endgame. Queen f5. And your opponent goes for queen e8. I agree with you. Queen d4 looks more to the point. Queen d5. Very nice. And now we see the problem with g3. Yeah. Yeah. Oh, that was a great game, Colt. Oh, not Colt, but Ocean. And I think this is a dojo game, or at least I know Colt is also in the dojo. Okay. Also, maybe they analyzed afterwards. So, super great game, great annotations. And that is the end of the show. He is Luke. Okay, great. It does confuse me a lot. It does confuse me. Okay, so that was a very well annotated game. And Pineapple is asking, how do I join the Dojo Chess Liga? If you just Google Dojo Lichess, boom, you're going to find it instantly. You can also find it, though, on our website here, and you go up to the top. You can't see it at the top, but I'm going to go over here. You go Tournaments, and we hit Dojo Liga, and look at this beautiful Dojo Liga thing that we got going on. Yeah, super cool. We've had our gnomes working on the UI for this. For those boomers out there, UI means user interface. But it looks good, man. We've been getting this going. All tournament types, you know. And we go over here, tournaments. We also have the Open Classical. And this is the, this also looks pretty good. This is our leaderboard with the Open Classical. You can get different regions, you know, based on your time zone. You go overall standings, round one. That's beautiful. We got opens in the under 1800. There's Crooney. We saw Crooney before. Does Hoodrat stuff. He's still going around. Yeah. So, super cool. My friends, I'm out of here. Got to go do some stuff. But that was fun. And I'll be back next week for more. My dojo, let me just tell you, Dojo's got a lot going on. As you can see, people are working on the UI. There's all kinds of stuff going behind the scenes. For myself, I've been working on the endgame tests and the positional tests. Those will be up hopefully pretty soon. We got this book coming out. Hopefully that finally happens. It's taking forever. Oh, we got a lot of things in the works. Our Dojo database is starting to look like better than ChessBase at this point. Amazing. So lots of stuff happening in the Dojo. Check out the training program if you haven't already. And and I have some videos coming out. Finally, they've been in the pipeline for a little bit, but they're hopefully coming out today.